Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English Edition. Tonight, for the highlights as usual, we got the President of the Republic returns to the country. In the international scene, migrants in Libya report denounces crimes against humanity. Those were the major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, returned to the capital on Tuesday after participating in the ceremony, which took place yesterday, Monday, in Addis Ababa, of the investiture of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali. The participation of the Djiboutian President in the ceremony of investiture of the Ethiopian Prime Minister was essentially marked by an important speech that he made at the podium of this event. In this speech, he paid a vibrant tribute to Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who was reappointed to his post following a resounding victory for his political party, the Prosperity Party, in the last legislative elections in that country. On his departure from Ethiopia, President Guelleh met with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in the VIP lounge at Addis Ababa Airport. The bilateral relations, the state of progress of the partnership of complementary and economic integration between the two nations, as well as several other subjects of common interest and of regional, continental, and international scope were discussed during this meeting. It should be noted that the head of state was accompanied during his participation in the inauguration ceremony of the Ethiopian Prime Minister by a large delegation, including the Djibouti Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and the Ambassador of the Republic to Djibouti to Ethiopia, Abdi Mahmoud. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, met this Tuesday morning in private with the Ethiopian Prime Minister, His Excellency Abiy Ahmed Ali. This bilateral meeting, which comes a day after the participation of the head of state in the inauguration ceremony of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, took place at the private residence of the President Ismail Omar Guelleh in Addis Ababa. The ties of brotherhood, friendship, and cooperation between the two countries and peoples were discussed during this audience. The progress of strategic projects of complementary and economic integration initiated in almost all sectors of development between the two nations was also discussed. The discussions then focused on the main issues on the agenda in the region, the continent, and internationally. The Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, welcomed yesterday many heads of government and from African and other countries for the ceremony of the inauguration of the Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed. President Guelleh was one of the distinguished guests at the ceremony organized for this occasion. Several other heads of state and government from the region and the continent, as well as important personalities heading international and multilateral organizations, took part in the inauguration ceremony of the Ethiopian Prime Minister. President Guelleh's participation in the inauguration of Mr. Abiy Ahmed shows the full extent of our country's commitment to honoring at the highest level the major events of Ethiopia, our main commercial and economic partner. It is also a perfect illustration of the cordial relations and total governance of views between the two leaders and the top of our two nations, which have made for more than 2 decades the choice of an economic community of destiny. The investiture of the Ethiopian Prime Minister comes at the end of an electoral process, including legislative organized in this friendly country last June, and were won by a large majority by the political party, the Party of Prosperity, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, made a speech during the ceremony of the inauguration of the Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed. His Excellency conveyed a message of hope and encouragement to his counterpart. Let's listen to the head of the government.
Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Excellencies, Sahle-Work Zewde, President of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Excellencies, heads of states and governments, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It gives me pleasure to be here today to witness more the enduring democratic process in our brotherly country of Ethiopia. It is also an honor for me to convey my best heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency Abiy Ahmed on this auspicious occasion. Mr. Prime Minister, I stand before you today to bring you a message of hope and encouragement on my own behalf and on behalf of my people. We also bring to you and to the people of Ethiopia the well wishes and support of the Djiboutian people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, with a proud history dating back to the Abyssinian empires, Ethiopia has taken the lead on many Pan-African issues, whether as the first African country member of the League of the Nations in the late 1920s, or as the birthplace of the Organization of African Unity, now known as the African Union. More recently, Ethiopia has also charted an unprecedented path of growth and development that has served as a locomotive for the entire continent as a whole, but more importantly, for our region. As we all know, throughout this long and glorious history, Ethiopia has gone through many defining moments and has always come out stronger. It has belied the dogmas of those who condemned her to ruin. It has always remained united in the face of a struggle. Today, more than ever before, we hope to see an Ethiopian nation that is at peace with itself, a nation that forgives all of our sons and daughters and collectively builds on the achievements of yesterday to reach an even higher ground. We all know how fragile peace is in our region. And on our continent, we have all, at some point in our history, stared into the abyss of collective destructions, but we have always managed to hold on to what brings us together and let go what divides us. We have fought long and hard for all our achievements, and nowhere is that statement more true than in Ethiopia, where for centuries a myriad of cultures have coexisted and built this great nation. You absolutely must protect those hard-earned gains. Indeed, as a nation steeped in its long history of cultural and religious diversity, rich of centuries of successful development and progress, we remain certain that the Ethiopian nation is bigger and stronger than whatever ails her. Ethiopia always gets back stronger despite everything, and we are counting on her to do so. We remain certain that Ethiopia will emerge victorious and will be reconciled with herself and with all her children. We pledged our full support to you and your people on this next journey. እንኳን ለአዲሱ ዓመት አደረሳችሁ። እንኳን ለኢሬቻ በዓል አደረሳችሁ። ኢትዮጵያ ለዘላለም ትኑር።
The ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the Federal Democratic of Ethiopia and our country's permanent representative in the African Union, Abdi Mahmoud, made a statement this morning as he made final preparations for the warm welcome reserved for the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. Participating later that day in the inauguration ceremony of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. The fruitful ties between our country and Ethiopia are commensurate with the strategic and complementary partnerships they have maintained for 2 decades in all the sectors of sustainable development. The Djiboutian diplomat said, Djibouti and Ethiopia are today a model of success in economic integration, he said. Today's event that will also serve as a platform for the announcements of the members of parliament resulting from the latest Ethiopian legislative elections, which were won by the political party, the Prosperity Party of the Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, he added. Moving on to the Ministry of Budget. The Minister of Budget, Mr. Abdul Karim Adansheh, received this morning the Ambassador of Ethiopia to Djibouti, Mr. Birhanu Tighe. The ambassador was accompanied by his 2 advisors. The meeting focused on the good age-old relations of friendship and cooperation between the 2 countries. The meeting was attended by the Acting Secretary General Ahmed Hassan Moyali, the Director of Customs Gulaid Ahmed Yusuf, the Director of Taxes Saeed Guelleh, the Acting Chief of Staff Mohammed Saeed Dawale, and the technical advisors. The Minister of Budget also received today a mission of the World Bank, which is staying in our country since yesterday until October 7th. The resident representative of the World Bank in Djibouti presented to the minister the new team of the World Bank's governance department. During this meeting, the Minister of Budget and the World Bank mission discussed the reform of public enterprises and the modalities of reactivation of the PFAE program created in 2001. The meeting was attended by the Secretary General, Mr. Ahmed Hassan Moyali, the Chief of Staff, Mr. Abdel Fattah Musa. And we are going to Sudan, where our new ambassador, Mr. Isa Khair Roble, was received yesterday morning, Monday 4th October, by the President of the Sudanese Sovereign International Council, Major General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, for the presentation of his credentials as Ambassador Extraordinary and Parliamentary of the Republic of Djibouti to the sister Republic of Sudan. During the ceremony, the new ambassador has, first of all, transmitted the frontal and friendly greetings of Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic of Djibouti, to the President of the Sovereign Council of Sudan. Then he underlined the excellent relations that exist between the 2 countries. A strong delegation led by the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed Nuh Hassan, moved to Geneva to take part in the 72nd session of the Executive Committee of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, which is held from 4 to 8 October 2021 in Geneva, Switzerland. In this trip, the minister was accompanied by the Executive Secretary of Honors, Mr. Hussein Hassan Darar, and the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti in Geneva, Mrs. Khadra Ahmed Hassan. It should be noted that the Republic of Djibouti receives refugees from neighboring countries since the rise of its independence in 1977. Until today, the number of refugees settled in Djibouti amounts to 340,000 refugees from all walks of life and all genders settled in the different refugees villages, namely Ali Adde, Holhol, and Obokhtu. The refugee population represents more than 3% of the total population of Djibouti. This represents the highest population refugee ratio in the world. In his speech, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Saeed Nuh Hassan, said that since its independence, Djibouti hosts refugees who are often long-time refugees. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Mr. Filippo Grandi, praised the efforts of the Republic of Djibouti for the inclusion of refugees in the education and health programs. Moving on, as part of the consolidation of the empowerment of Djiboutian women and girls, the Social Action Center for the Empowerment of Women, which is also known as CAZAF, organized yesterday a workshop on the study and evaluation of vocational training needs within the center. The study made by the consultant proposed to re-innovate the existing learning program framework and by proposing new training in the field of hospitality and digital. The study was carried out in the presence of the Secretary General, Mrs. Anise Hassan Bahdon, the Director of the CAZAF, the Director of the DPG, the Technical Advisor, Mr. Mohammed Ismail Abdullahi, various executives of the sectoral ministries, and technical partners such as UNDP, IOM, UNICEF, and UNESCO. Like the rest of the country, schools in the region of Dakhil took part on Sunday, October 2nd, 2021, to the Citizens' Day, which massively mobilized the entire educational community, parents, students, teachers, school principals, teaching staff, and administrative authorities, customary and military local. And this under the supervision of the inspector, Mr. Farah Douali, head of the education office in Dakhil. The Citizens' Day took place simultaneously in all schools in the region. The focal point of the day was As'ala, which saw the participation of the Minister of Environment and Rural Development, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa. Also present were the head of the Regional Education Office, Mr. Farah, the Sub-Prefecture of As'ala, the heads of schools, teachers, and traditional authorities of the Gobad region, parents and students also. Moving on to the Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Mohammed Warsama, received yesterday and visit to the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the Republic of Djibouti, His Excellency Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah Al Matar, in his cabinet. The minister, surrounded by his close collaborators, welcomed the ambassador of the Guardian of the Two Holy Places to Djibouti. The meeting was an opportunity for both parties to review the areas of cooperation between the two friendly countries and ways to strengthen them, especially in the field of trade, industry, and tourism. The National Agency of State Information Systems, in collaboration with the Ministry in charge of Digital Economy and Innovation, organized on Monday, October 4, 2021, at the Djibouti Plus Kembiski workshop to discuss and validate the interoperability framework of Djibouti. The objective of this workshop is to discuss the challenges and conditions related to the interoperability of the Djibouti administration and present the Djibouti interoperability framework as a recommendation guide to improve the performance of public administration, but also to discuss the responsibilities of each institution in the implementation and the responsibilities as coordinator. A ceremony of end of training in the field of signals took place this morning at Camp Monjan, chaired by the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. The ceremony was attended by the Deputy Chief of Staff of Defense, Colonel Major Mohammed Kayad Gille, Colonel Wa'is Omar Boghore, Commander of the Coast Guard, and officers of the General Staff of the Armed Forces. This ceremony follows the acquisition of new Chinese equipment to strengthen the equipment in the Department of Signals for the FAD. Indeed, since 2018, the Command of Signals, under the orders of Commander Sayyid Abdullah Hussein, has begun a rise in power by accumulating the search for performance in new technologies. This recently acquired equipment is a system that can intercept, listen, and jam enemy communications. Through this acquisition, the deterrence means of the FAD are reinforced. On his arrival, the SEMGA was welcomed by Colonel Major Mohammed Kayad Gille, Colonel Wa'is Omar Boghore, Colonel Mohammed Wa'is, and Commander. Then General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim began the review of troops formed by a section of the regiment headquarters, the officers of the General Staff of the Armed Forces that devised. Then General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim followed a brief presentation made by Commander Sayyid Abdullah Hussein, Commander of the Signals, on the equipment received. The latter are made of 5 types of tactical range radio, some of which are portable and others of men's spec. They allow to link the troops deployed on the ground while ensuring a quality transmission.
مراكب هدية جر إلى لدى الكوهيلا إذا وحوكها القضاء هذه ولا إسكارسينتا وهالبولة لغا مرمل وهرسيتك لغو قورو وهايبت عدواغا هالكو جوغا كوشيكتا.
At the end of the presentation, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim attended a review of the equipment acquired and the military trained on the use of these materials. The young military officers were able to demonstrate their acquired knowledge. This ceremony ended with a poem concluded for the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces for the occasion around a breakfast in a radiant atmosphere.
waa hubaal isgaadhsiintu halka maanta ay joogto hildhiiran iyo hooba adiga u hore aabbo hatushalay shisheeyuhu habtinaga daldala jiray habyayaa u kacay maanta ku hawlgalay wadaninimo hatushalay hadafkaagii weeya
xasuus durugsan taariikh fogoo dahfur anuu qad dadaal guul wadani lagu hantaan idin dareensin ku diirsada ujeedada murtidani dulmaraya ereyga afartaa daraja leh dunida soo jid qalbigaaga adigu degay oo daacadu
maraakiib had iyo jeer ilaalada dalka u heegan ida wuxuu ku hawlgalo hadi waa isgaadhsiinta.
The prefect of the region of Arta, Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Hassan, received yesterday the courteous visit of the new ambassador of Germany in Djibouti, Mr. Michael Husserl. The German diplomat was accompanied in this trip by his wife and his close collaborators. The prefect of the region of Arta and the German diplomat made a tour of the great assets and tourist and economic potentialities of the youngest of our region, Arta. At the end of the meeting, the German ambassador to Djibouti, accompanied by his wife and the authorities of the region of Arta, had the opportunity to visit the Sunny Hill Center, a tourist center that also serves as a hotel school. The German diplomat also had the opportunity to visit the famous hiking trails of Arta, named Africa Peace Walk. And on this subject, the German diplomat assured the prefect Sheikho of his participation in the 2021 edition of the hike. Indeed, as in other regions in the capital of our country, the first Citizens' Day of the school year 2021-2022 was organized in all schools in the region of Arta. This day, established within the framework of the project My School to Me, has mobilized the educational community, parents, teachers, students in the team of the pedagogical supervision of the Arta region. The prefect, the president of the regional council, the teachers, and the students also took an active part in this day. The participants were able to carry out during this day various activities relating to the provision of the environment, the establishment of school space, the provision against COVID-19, also activities dedicated to the appropriation of national and citizen values. MENFOP has provided the schools with the material means necessary for the good organization of the Citizenship Day. Shifting gears towards the internationals, war crimes and crimes against humanity are being committed in Libya, particularly against migrants. According to a report published by an independent UN mission, 5,000 migrants arrested since Friday. The mission denounced arbitrary arrests and detention conditions marked by violence and torture. By this, our beloved viewers, we conclude tonight's news edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for joining us.